Welcome back, everybody, to the crossover after our very long hiatus. Welcome to the crossover Christmas special. We're glad you're with us. With me, I should say, as always, Haston Wilson, John Lang. Guys, what's up?
Well, I'm glad to be back. You know, that's just how we roll here at the crossover. We typically take our vacations in 6-month blocks.
It's true. I don't really have anything else to add.
John, anything new with you lately?
Well,
sorry, John, that's all the time we had for you to talk about what's
actually,
new. Haston, what do you got? Nope, nothing? Okay, well.
Since our last episode, I have grown a beard and gotten glasses, so a lot of changes happening for me right now.
He looks like a very hip and touch youth pastor now. He's really, really working towards that.
Yep, soon I will be riding a longboard around wearing nothing but flannel. I might have a handkerchief out of the back pocket of my way too skinny jeans. Might get some chacos. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how you have to go about it. As for me, I've put on 20 pounds and haven't slept much, so things are going pretty good for all of us.
I'm pregnant.
Oh, yeah, I am pregnant.
And I'm getting married, and I finished up my first semester of grad school, so I guess you could say I'm doing better than anyone.
You're not, though. You're not. John has asked Chandler to be his best man and me to officiate the ceremony, and my wife to be the MC at their reception. So he is giving us all a microphone, and it is going to be tragic for him. There's just no way around that.
Yeah, John, you might.
But they are honestly the cheapest people I could find in the world, so.
Well, you're right about that.
I suppose. Well, we're looking forward to that and to making John miserable on his wedding day. Moving on.
What it's all about?
Yeah, we're done with that now, John. Thank you. Moving on here. We've got a long show planned for you today. I mean, we might be talking 2+ hours. We'll just see where the wind blows us. But if you're wanting to skip around, we'll make sure and put in the description kind of where everything's at time-wise, and you can kind of listen to whatever you want to listen to. But we're glad you're here. We're glad you're with us. We hope you enjoy our Christmas special. Guys, to get started, we had a 10-year anniversary this week, and it was none other than the 10-year anniversary of the dinner party episode of The Office. The question for you guys is that the greatest episode of The Office ever?
Well, I don't think you could ask a better group of people because, I mean, we all know our sports, but I think if there's one thing that we would be more qualified to do, it would be a podcast about The Office. How many times are we talking, like, have we watched all the way through? I've done it 2 times all the way through. Haston's probably done it about 8.
Yeah, I've at least watched all the episodes with Steve Carell through at least 8 times. I probably watched the whole show through 4 or 5 times probably.
Yeah, I'm probably somewhere in the 4 to 5 neighborhood.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do we think? Is it the greatest episode of The Office ever?
Yes.
Yes.
Interesting. Go ahead, John.
On the grounds of, it's my favorite episode. I don't know if it's the greatest, as in if you're talking like, theatrically or, writing or whatever, but if I go back and I'm just going to watch one episode, it's going to be the dinner party episode every time. It's my go-to. It makes me laugh. It makes me cry. It makes me laugh some more. It's quotable. It's just a go-to.
Yeah, if you're unfamiliar with the dinner party episode, just a super quick synopsis. So basically, Steve Carell, Michael Scott, he's the boss at Dunder Mifflin Paper Company, and
all right. If they haven't watched The Office, then I mean, they're not gonna know what it is. So just
fair enough.
Yeah.
So you're familiar with Dinner Party if you like The Office at all, but I do not think that it is the best episode. I think it's close. My top 3 in ascending order is Threat Level Midnight, where Michael Scott's his movie finally gets finished. It's hilarious. And then Dinner Party is my second greatest episode. And then the greatest episode that they ever did, in my opinion, is Stress Relief Part 1, where Dwight plans a fire scare as safety manager. Stanley has a heart attack, and then they bring in a CPR dummy to practice, and then Dwight cuts the face off of it.
I think that is an incredible scene, and maybe even like half an episode, but I think the whole episode has to go to the dinner party.
Here's my thing. I think the thing about The Office is they always had very strong first episodes of seasons. You know, Hasten, I know you mentioned Stress Relief. I think kind of to go along with that, actually, I'm not sure if that was the first episode of a season or not.
It's not.
But one, it's not, idiot.
Well, get it together.
I think maybe my personal favorite episode is the first episode of season 4. I'm blanking on what the title of the episode is, but it's where Michael hits Meredith with his car. They have the fun run. It's called Fun Run. Yeah, they have the relief fun run. That's a 2-part episode too. But you know, we also see Jim and Pam start dating, which, you know, whether we like to admit it or not, that all makes us feel good. So I think that might be my personal favorite episode. But Dinner Party could easily hold the title for greatest. It mixes well between hilarity and the thing about
Cringe.
The Office. Yes, it's very cringy. Now, it's not the most cringy. The most cringy episode is easily Scott's Tots. Okay, without a doubt. But Dinner Party's probably top 3 cringe level and probably top 3 in total hilarity. So it might take the cake. I don't know. I would honestly have to do a little more research to be able to confirm that, but it's a very strong episode. So all right, well, that was a great discussion about a great show, a great episode of a great show. Before we get going a little bit further here, Hasten, why don't you hit us with the scripture of the day?
Our scripture of the day, brought to you by the Richmond, Missouri United Methodist Church, comes to us from James chapter 1, verse 12. It reads, "Blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him." That was our scripture of the day, brought to you by the Richmond, Missouri United Methodist Church. Open hearts, open minds, open doors. Check out our youth group Wednesday night at 6 during the school year.
Sounds dope.
And then, to transition here into our next segment.
Boo!
I'm taking the reins from Chandler here on this one because
that was quite a segue.
I looked
garbage.
stuff up. Just hush your mouth. I looked stuff up on the computer in preparation for this, so I'm taking it. And I actually got this from Stan Van Gundy, to be fair. He goes on the Dan Le Batard show every week, and he does this segment called Hot Nuggets, and it's really funny. And basically, guys, in the NBA, in NBA history, since they implemented the three-point line, they have basically, it's like some of the greatest shooting performances make it into this club. They call it the 50-40-90 club. And basically what it is, it's people who shoot 50% as a field goal percentage, 40% from beyond three-point, and 90% from the free throw line. And in history, there have only been 7 guys to do it. There was Dirk, Steph Curry, and Steph is really impressive because he averaged 30 points a game while doing this. Kevin Durant did it when he was with Oklahoma City. Mark Price did it with the Cavs. Reggie Miller with the Pacers. Larry Bird did it twice. And Steve Nash did it 4 times in 5 years with the Suns. So pretty darn impressive. This year, there are 2 players that are currently on pace to eclipse this magical 50-40-90 level. Can you guys name the two players. Actually, just name one of the two, and I'll give you one. His name is Steph Curry. That one's probably not a very big surprise. Can you guys name the other player who was on pace for this?
I'll go Chairman the first guess.
Carmelo.
He is on pace to be out of the league.
I'm going to go with J.J. Redick.
Wow.
Nope. He is someone who won us over on our trip to Milwaukee a couple years ago. His name is
Terry.
Nope. He won Rookie of the Year for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Tony Snell?
Nope, neither. His name is Mr. Malcolm Brogdon.
Oh.
A young man out of Virginia. Yep.
The young man out of Cleveland
season. Yeah, Norris Cole, the young man out of Cleveland State. Malcolm Brogdon, this season, he is shooting a blazing 97.9% from free throw, 51.4% from shooting field goals, and 47.2% from behind the arc. That is really impressive numbers.
That's some shooting.
That is.
Bad.
Yeah.
Ain't bad.
Yeah, he's
buck up.
Except for he's really close with Steph Curry on 3-point, just a little bit behind him. But other than that, in those other two categories, he's actually shooting considerably better than Steph Curry in those areas. So that will be pretty cool if both of those guys can make it into that group this season, because no two players have ever done it in a single season before.
Wow. Well, that's some solid trivia there. Good work. I'm glad you did the research. We come now to a new segment that we're going to introduce to all you lovely people called Random Animal Noises. And how we do this is I pick 3 random animals, and John and Haston each take turns trying to replicate the noise that that animal is most commonly associated with. Are you guys ready for this challenge?
Yeah, I'm just cracking my knuckles here, warming up the vocal cords.
That did not make sense.
Yeah, those two things are unrelated.
I can confirm.
Yeah, that's true. John, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I wonder if people, at this point in the show are are they ever going to talk about sports? And the answer is, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Animal number 1. Haston, why don't you start us off? Actually, nope. Right. John, why don't you start us off?
Okay.
We're gonna start with a pterodactyl.
Oh boy.
That's pretty good, really. That's honestly a lot better than I expected. But I think, honestly, Haston, I think, is going to blow John out of the water on this one. Just because I know Haston's experience with pterodactyl noises.
That's true. I will say John's was much better than I expected. That was pretty good. And I have not made a good pterodactyl noise with my man voice. You know, that was kind of like a prepubescent thing. And I'm not sure. It used to get really high, but I'll give it a shot. Okay, here we go. Okay.
That was so loud. That was so loud.
I'm taking a bow right now.
I don't know. I'm gonna call that category a draw.
Fair enough.
I jumped out of my chair there.
For the next Jurassic Park episode, John and I are available for sound effects.
I kind of like to go with the baby pterodactyl noise myself, more the little.
Yes, we've all heard lots of pterodactyls. Yeah, we know.
Right, the baby pterodactyl. All right, next one. This is gonna be tough to do. Let's go with squirrel. Haston, I'll let you take the lead on squirrel.
Oh, okay.
Keep going.
How was that? Nope, that was plenty.
That was pretty good. All right, John, here's your best squirrel. That's trash. Get out of here, John. Your squirrel sucks.
That's like gross chewing.
That was actually just me eating lunch.
Haston takes the squirrel one. All right, this one's going to take takes some creativity, and this one is a tip of the cap to all those Phineas and Ferb fans out there. Here we go. Are you ready for this? John, why don't you take the lead on this, since Haston has the lead in the point total right now, 1-0. John, let's hear your best platypus noise.
Okay.
Platypus.
Are we talking like when he talks and like?
It's what?
No, that's
Nope.
Ferb that has the British accent.
Nope, it's platypus. Whatever you think a platypus sounds like. Pretty good. That's gonna be tough to beat. Hasten, what you got for platypus?
Oh man, I got nothing. Here's my theory. I don't think that platypuses really make any noise. So here's the sound that I'm going with. That's their tail hitting the ground.
That was garbage. That was poor effort.
Boo.
I'm giving
I think
John
you lose a point for that.
Yeah, John gets 2 points. John wins.
I think we need to do a tiebreaker cow noise.
I believe I will be picking the tiebreaker, but you're right. That is a good one to do here. Let me just Google animals with the best noises.
Are we really going to wait on you to do that?
Yes, we are. Ooh, that's a good one. Let's do oh no, that's inappropriate. Let's do crow. Hasten, let's hear your best crow.
I'm thinking it's going to be the same as the pterodactyl noise.
That's way too graceful.
That sucked, John. You should be able to beat that. Not much better, but still better. John wins. Random animal noises. Congratulations, John. Yay.
This is the happiest day of my life.
Congratulations. You'll get your certificate in the mail. All right. That was pretty good. That was a lot better than I thought it would go. But now let's talk about something more important than animal noises. More important than really just about anything in life, and that is football. We haven't hardly gotten to talk about football on this show, and now we're going to spend the next 4 to 8 hours talking about football. Right, guys?
That's right.
As long as we can talk about fantasy while we're at it.
Probably not happening. All right, let's start in the NFL. Guys, NFL, I got to ask you, are any teams actually good this year?
Yes, but there's no clear-cut favorite, I don't think.
John, what do you think?
I would say there's an upper tier of about 7 teams that could win the Super Bowl. And it's kind of a coin flip.
Yeah, here's my thing. I think, especially last week, at the end of last week, something became abundantly clear to me, and that is that every team is vulnerable. There's no team that is just head and shoulders so good that, like, they can't or shouldn't be beaten.
Like the Patriots of old.
Right, yeah, I mean, like I'm just kind of taking a look down the list of games last week. Like, the Rams lost. Carolina about beat New Orleans. Pittsburgh beat New England. I tell you what, Pittsburgh's probably playing the best out of anybody right now. But, you know, you keep looking down the line, and it's pretty clear that there aren't any teams that just, like, are so hot they can't get beat right now, or they're just so far superior that they can't be beaten. Obviously, the Chiefs losing on Thursday night, Seattle losing to San Francisco. So, you know, I think you look around the league, and there's just not really any teams that have made it clear that they don't have weaknesses and vulnerability. You know, all teams have got some pretty, maybe not gaping holes, but some pretty clear weaknesses kind of across the board. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how things shape up.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to say the first about 10 weeks of the year, it looked like the Chiefs Rams, and Saints were just 3 head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yes.
And they've kind of shown the last couple of weeks that, I mean, whether it's, they were just super hot or teams are starting to figure them out a little bit, that, they have their vulnerabilities too. But the Bears have really hopped on my radar lately just because of their defense. And if Mitch Trubisky, I don't know why I called him Mitchell.
Mitchell.
If Mitch Trubisky can, play the way he's played at times this year, I mean, they're as tough a team to play as anyone. With that defense, I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I don't know, but the Bears are trash because they're the Bears and they're always going to suck forever. So,
says the Packers fan.
There's a certain amount of you've got to show me that you can do it in the playoffs first before I'm going to believe in you. Like, this is the same issue that I have, like, with the Chiefs every year. Like, they can have a great regular season, and the Bears' defense looks dominant right now. It's maybe the best in the league, but you got to show me that you can do it in the playoffs. And
right.
we don't know, to be fair. Like, the Bears are kind of like back this year. They haven't been back for a while, like a decade almost, and now they are. So it's not like they've fallen apart in the past, but I just want to see them prove it this year. So
yeah,
and honestly, I kind of feel the same way with the Chiefs. Like, I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs, and I think we'll talk about them a lot later. But they're kind of the same way in that they're kind of back this year. Like, I mean, yeah, in Kansas City, people have called them a Super Bowl contender in the past couple of years with Alex Smith, but like really outside of Kansas City, I don't think anyone was too worried about them. And this year, I mean, is kind of the first year that they're kind of, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially with the division, and we'll get into that more here in a little bit, but the AFC, there's more uncertainty in it this year than I think there has been in years past. Like, the Patriots are still kind of stumbling around, it seems like, which is a little late in the season for them to be doing that. And Pittsburgh's been wildly inconsistent, which has been, kind of the storyline of the season so far. And the Chiefs, they've got the best record, so it looks like they should be the favorite, but we all know what they've done in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you look at it, and there's not really – it doesn't feel like there are any, like, playoff experienced teams. You know what I mean? Like, there for several years.
Drew Brees.
Like, yeah. I mean, yes, Drew Brees, but also, like, it just doesn't – it doesn't feel like the usual suspects are there. You know what I mean? Like, especially in the AFC, like you were talking about, Hasten, like, it's usually, Steelers, Patriots, and whatever team Peyton Manning's playing for. And I know he's been out of the league for a few years, but, like, it seems like pretty consistently those were the 3 teams to beat, and the NFC's kind of been more of a mixed bag, but it just doesn't feel like anywhere that there's, like, teams that have been here before, like, been dominant the last few years and are back to, run the roast again.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I think that you're exactly right. And so but you can't think that those teams that have had that playoff experience aren't going to be dangerous to hit their stride once the playoffs actually start. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
I think it looks like there's a decent chance that New England won't have home first-round bye, and I don't know when the last time New England didn't have a first-round bye was. I haven't looked that up. But, I mean, the AFC just not going through Foxborough, which seems, barring just a collapse from the Chargers and Chiefs and Texans, the AFC is not going to go through Foxborough, and that's just weird saying that. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the Patriots play out. Sure, you can't count out Tom Brady. I don't care, if it's 2019 or 2009 or 2002, it's
or 2039.
Right. Like, you just can't count out Tom Brady, or the Patriots, or the no-name receivers he's throwing to. Even though he's got Josh Gordon this year, I mean.
Right. Actually, he does not have Josh Gordon. Did you guys hear about that? Josh Gordon is stepping away from football as of just like a few hours ago to focus on his mental health. He apparently is facing a suspension and decided to get out in front of it, and he's basically going to be put on the commissioner's exempt list again, it sounds like. So he will not be with the Patriots anymore.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, so
you heard it here first, folks.
Isaac Johansson, straight out of Fresno State, is going to be the leading receiver.
Dan Smith out of BYU.
Yeah.
Goes for 250 yards in the second-round matchup against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Jordan Grove out of Northwest Missouri State University. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're to the point in the show now where somebody asks me about the Packers.
I'll be the one. Chandler, your Packers are terrible this year. That's not really a question. It's just a statement of fact. They are a dumpster fire. What say you, sir?
My initial reaction to that is dumpster fire is a strong term, but relatively speaking, for their organization, I think that might be a fair characterization.
That's what I mean. Compared to the Cleveland Browns, they look like a model of success and sustainability compared to that. But
right.
Relative to what the Packers have been historically, they are a dumpster fire.
Yeah, so this is the Green Bay Packers' 100th season. They're the oldest franchise in football. This is the first time in their 100-season history that they fired a coach mid-season, in Mike McCarthy.
Well, happy anniversary.
Right. Well, I mean, but, I think that's worth noting in terms of the history of the franchise and just kind of the stability overall there, that this is, how big of an issue it was. And don't get me wrong, I think Mike McCarthy is a good football coach, and I'm appreciative for his time in Green Bay. But the last several years, he did something that is the death nail for a lot of coaches who have been with a team for a long time, and he began to stop adapting to how the game changed. He's still trying to run, the offense that was one of the best offensives of all time in 2011, and that just doesn't work 7 years later. And honestly, it doesn't even really look like that offense anymore because, one, the personnel's different, and two, they didn't throw a slant all freaking year, which is irritating. So McCarthy's gone. It was time for him to go, and I'm fairly plugged into the Packers Twitter community. And
you don't say.
And it's interesting to me how since McCarthy got canned, it's shifted from McCarthy was the problem to now it's starting to turn into Aaron Rodgers is the problem. Now, don't get me wrong. That's crazy, okay? Aaron Rodgers is not the problem, but he's been a problem, okay? This has been the worst season of his career easily. Now, with that, his worst season of his career, probably, I don't know, 70% of teams would still want his worst year over whoever they've got starting at quarterback's average year. But he just hasn't played well. I mean, you watched that Bears game last week, and he's missing wide open throws and, throwing it in the dirt on third down, and he's been a problem. So I'm hoping that with a new coach, he's able to get refocused, and it's just better. I mean, it needs to be better all around. It's been a frustrating few years for Packers fans.
Chandler, let me ask you this. You would react how to this statement? Aaron Rodgers is a villain.
Can you give me more than that, or do I have to react to that?
Well, okay, so I feel like the narrative about Aaron Rodgers has gone from when he first came into the league to he was this backup with long, goofy hair out of Cal who backed up Brett Favre, who never missed a game, so he was never, ever going to get a chance to play, to rising star, to funny guy, handsome guy in the State Farm commercials with the discount double check, to he might be the greatest arm talent that the NFL has ever seen, to we worship the ground that Aaron Rodgers walks on, to all of a sudden, within the past year or two, there's things about him not really getting along. He doesn't talk to his family anymore. Guys in the locker room are starting to voice their opinion that they really don't like him. Former players are coming out and saying he's kind of a diva. He's now getting Mike McCarthy fired, basically. I've heard all those things. Now, who knows how much truth there is to that, but all those things, it seems like the narrative on who Rodgers has changed drastically into more of a villainous role lately. So that's the prerequisite to my question there.
All right. I will respond by saying that through all of those different phases that you mentioned, this constant has remained, is that Aaron Rodgers is an enigma. He's a hard dude to figure out, I think. I mean, obviously, I've been a Packers fan since he's been in Green Bay, and just watching him, it's hard to figure out what he's really about. You know, like you said, the stuff with his family and guys not liking him in the locker room, like, you only hear that sort of thing when things aren't going well. You know what I mean? So like you said, it's hard to put stock in that. But he's been part of the problem this year, and I think one thing that's bothered me the most is that he hasn't really taken a ton of accountability for the things that he's been doing wrong. And a lot of the Packers' struggles have been because of the way he's been playing this year. And, you know, I think he's been banged up and stuff, and I mean, I don't think he's still quite right from some of the injuries he's sustained earlier in his career, but you either have to say that's bothering you, or you have to say, I'm not playing well. Like, you have to put some of the blame on yourself, and that's been a frustrating part for me. Now, to say that he got Mike McCarthy fired, like, that narrative I don't know that I buy into. But it's obvious that there was some tension there and that they weren't really getting along. And obviously, whenever it comes down to the coach and the quarterback that you just signed to a $150 million contract, the coach is going to be the one that goes. So Aaron Rodgers is tough to figure out, but he's got something about him that whenever he starts believing that his team can win, they start winning. But whenever he's not saying things like, you know, we had the relax thing a few years ago, and then the year after that he said, you know, whenever they were 4-7 or whatever, said, I think we could run the table, and went out, and then they did, and then they made the playoffs. Like, whenever things like when it's obvious he doesn't have confidence in his team, the team isn't doing well. So, and part of that is sure on the coaches and the players around, but part of that's on him. Like, you have to be able to produce that confidence and, you know, put that on whether it's really there or not. So,
I mean, look at what's happened with Andrew Luck this year. They were 1-5 to start off the year, and Andrew Luck in Indianapolis, I mean, he's like the most positive person all the time. Like, I just love going out and throwing to Jack Doyle, you know, and he's like just super weirdly, freakishly positive all the time. And I remember earlier in the season there was an interview with Aaron Rodgers. I think it was still in training camp, and he had like freaked out on his like young wide receiving core or something like that, and he told the press that he was like just becoming a grumpy old man and stuff like that, basically. And they just really have not been right this season, and he hasn't been right.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll see how things go next year. I hope what needs to happen is whoever they bring in needs to be a young, offensive-minded guy. I really like the idea of Lincoln Riley out of Oklahoma, but also makes me quite nervous because usually coaches coming up from college their first time around usually doesn't work out great. So I don't know. I hope it's, you know, and I don't have names. I like what's his bucket? Kansas City's offensive coordinator. I like that idea too. I've heard that name thrown around a lot. But a young offensive-minded guy is what he needs. Somebody who's going to hold number 12 accountable, and that just needs to be what happens. So we'll see how it goes.
So, John, let me ask you this. from just a neutral perspective, what does it seem like to you? Did Mike McCarthy's play calling get him fired, or did Aaron Rodgers get him fired?
I think a lot of it was. I think he's had a long leash, because was it 2011 they won the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it's hard to fire a Super Bowl winning
2010 season. Yep.
2010 season, and ever since then, I mean, they had a few great years, and they've kind of the last couple of years they've been pretty inconsistent. I feel like they've had a long leash that a lot of coaches wouldn't necessarily get. And I feel like he's been pretty complacent through all of it. Not necessarily getting a great team around him. And, that's not always on him. That can be management and above him a lot of times. But I don't think it's necessarily Aaron Rodgers' fault that he got fired. I think if it was anybody else, he could have been fired several years ago.
Yeah, it's I agree with that. It's hard to fire a Super Bowl winning coach. And, like I said, I've got nothing but respect for Mike McCarthy, and I think, he'll land on his feet somewhere else and continue to have a successful career. But, it was just time for a change in Green Bay. So hopefully it pans out. Something we've got on our script to talk about is, would you shut Aaron Rodgers down for the season? My answer is shut him down this week when they go play the Jets, and then purely for selfish reasons, have him play Week 17 at home against Detroit, because I will be at that game, and I'm going to be quite irritated if nobody's playing. But, that's just selfish.
Yeah, you selfish person. All right.
Anyway, we're moving on to basketball now. Guys, what Christmas Day game are you looking forward to most, and why, in the NBA?
Oh boy. I think I'm probably looking the most forward to Golden State and the Lakers. Nobody's really giving the Lakers a chance this year at all to contend basically with Golden State, but I'm kind of looking at it, and I've been looking at it, and Denver's playing very well. And then you've got kind of the usual suspects minus the San Antonio Spurs that are, pretty good. The Jazz are probably going to come on and be pretty good. Oklahoma City's kind of having a bounce-back year this year. So, we'll see. But, LeBron's not getting any younger. I would look for the Lakers to make a trade at the deadline this year for another star. It's probably not going to be Anthony Davis. That's who they really, really want. But Anthony Davis is not probably going to get out of New Orleans right now. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, who else is going to challenge them out of the West? Houston's been they've been all right. They're playing a little better lately. But why not the Lakers, Why not them? If they could get another piece, maybe some shooting, I don't see any other huge hurdle. They're just as good as any other team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say that, just real quick on the Lakers, I would say that, it's LeBron's team, no way around that. And I almost think that, the first, month or two, it was rough in L.A., but after that, they kind of figured it out, and they've kind of got right in line. And LeBron's always a little, whenever he goes to a new team, it's always a little slow going at first. In Miami, back in Cleveland. But, I'm right there with you. I don't see Denver doing anything in the playoffs. I would much rather put my money on LeBron and the young guys around him. And if they can get another mid-level star even, maybe a guy that would be third team All-Pro or something like that, that would radically change the West, I feel like, and they would be, without a doubt, the team that would most be able to challenge the Warriors. With that said, I think the Warriors are, head and shoulders above. But with that said, the game I'm looking most forward to is the 76ers and Celtics. The Celtics are playing well. The 76ers are playing well-ish since Jimmy Butler got there. It's, always pettiness in Philadelphia. But I'm looking forward to that game. it could very well be the preview of the Eastern Conference Finals. It's hard to say, but I like watching the East a lot. There's a lot of teams that think they can win the East, and that's a lot of fun that the West doesn't really have as much.
Yeah, that's true. And to your point, John, I feel like the Lakers, they've really kind of started to hit their stride, and I think they're only going to get better. Like, if you watch them early in the season, this was basically, like, their offense was basically like, Lonzo, pass it to LeBron, try to get your shot, get to the rim, whatever. If it's not there, kick it out to Brandon Ingram in the corner. Maybe he can knock down a shot. And if all that misses, dump it to Kuzma, or Kuzma will try to get an offensive rebound. Like, that's basically what it looked like. Now, it looks a lot better. Like, they always talk about the ball having energy. And, I mean, they're really starting to move the ball well. And, I mean, they've been winning games.
Mm-hmm.
Bucks at Knicks. That's my answer. Milwaukee at the New York Knicks is my answer. Because
at 11 a.m. on Christmas morning.
At 11 a.m. because Fear the Deer, baby. That's why. And also because that's the prequel of another game I get to go to 2 days later when New York is playing in Milwaukee. I'm excited about that one. All right, so there's that. We've kind of already hit on all this, but how do you guys feel? I mean, just to throw some teams out there: Golden State, Denver, Toronto, OKC, Boston, Milwaukee, the Lakers, etc. I mean, what are your confidence level in a couple of these top teams here?
Well, again, it goes back to I want teams to show me that they can do it, basically, in the playoffs. Now, out of that list, obviously we've got an extreme amount of confidence in Golden State. Boston we think is going to be pretty good. But then those other teams, like Houston maybe, if they can get it figured out defensively a little bit, then they might be right there. Denver, to me, is the most intriguing team out there because they're so young, but it's like they're just starting to figure out, like, oh, holy crap, we're actually pretty good, and we can actually beat anybody on a given night. So if they can continue playing better, get everybody healthy, like, they're scary, honestly. Toronto looks like it just feels different this year, doesn't it? Like, with Toronto, like, it's never been like a numbers thing. It's always just been a mental thing. And Toronto's mentality just seems different since they added Kawhi Leonard. Like, Kyle Lowry hasn't been playing as well. Like, he hasn't been scoring as much, but he's kind of taken on a different role for them this year. He's been facilitating the ball a lot more rather than being a score-first kind of point guard. And even though everybody's kind of dogging him for having a down year, like, the wins are still there, and that's the important thing. Boston, if they can keep everybody healthy, we know they've got depth like nobody else. And Oklahoma City, like, you can't count out Russ. I mean, that's basically always
yes,
true.
I can.
I don't know, man. He's got that edge to him, and I think that one of these years they're going to get it figured out. I really do.
He will never win a title.
And then Milwaukee, I don't know. Milwaukee scares me a little bit because they're good, right? We know they're good, but are they good enough to beat the Sixers? Are they good enough to beat Boston, Toronto? I don't know. They're going to have to keep climbing. I don't think that it's their year this year.
I would say, yeah, like Hasten said, obviously Golden State Warriors, it's kind of like the Cavaliers of a couple years ago when LeBron was there and nobody else was in the East. Like, you just kind of Sharpie them into the finals almost. Like, they're going to be there. Sorry, Denver. Give it 2 or 3 years. Maybe let Golden State, shake things out a little bit. We'll see how that happens. I know we'll all be intrigued. But OKC, I mean, I'm a Thunder fan of sorts. But I've been surprised at how well they've played, which I don't think I should be. They're a pretty similar team from last year, minus Carmelo, which is a plus. And but, Paul George is playing great. Russ is playing great with Paul George. It's kind of worked out better than I think anyone's expected. And So they're playing awesome. But, I mean, I think they're a 4 seed that, loses in the semifinals, kind of like OKC does usually. And, I'll kind of stick with everything you said. But I will say that Toronto and Boston and Philadelphia, I think Boston's obviously the best team just on paper if you look at them. Best depth, best coaching. Kyrie might be the best player in the East, just depending on the given night. But I would go as far as to say that Philadelphia is the most exciting, entertaining game. And, in playoff basketball, exciting and entertaining can take you somewhere with the crowd behind you. And Toronto, I won't count them out at all. I kind of was trying to, and then I just kind of kept remembering that Kawhi is there and things are different, and they kind of keep winning. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm looking forward to the Eastern Conference playoffs more than the rest of anything, actually, more than the West or the finals.
Right.
Yeah, same here.
Here's my thing. I don't have confidence in any of the teams besides the Warriors because nobody's going to beat the Warriors. So what's the point of even having an NBA season? That's how I feel about it. Anyway, speaking of confidence, or lack thereof, let's talk about the Chiefs. The first question, of course, that we have to ask, does Patrick Mahomes' voice match his body?
I'm going to say no. The first time I ever heard him speak, I thought, no way that's right. That is not his actual voice. Right? Like, if you have not heard Patrick Mahomes talk, his voice is very nasally. It's very grainy, and he, laughs through his nose. It's very odd to see or to hear that voice on that physical specimen of a man. It's very bizarre. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to it now, but it still sounds like Kermit the Frog. It's strange.
Yeah, and the more he puts up numbers, the more his body just increases, and so you expect the voice to be like James Earl Jones or something, and it's not. It's a 16-year-old boy. It sounds like.
Right.
Yeah, there was a scene of him celebrating after a home game, and they were singing "Sweet Caroline" at Arrowhead Stadium, and he was pumping up the crowd and singing at the same time. And you couldn't hear him, thank goodness, but I am sure that when he was singing, it just sounded horrible, way out of tune, super nasally, super annoying. That's weird.
So, John, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Right. Well,
moving on
to a probably disheartening question. What is the fate of the 2018 Kansas City Chiefs? What is their inevitable, inescapable outcome at the end of the
I'll take this first because I sent Chandler and Hasteman a frustrated text after, I think it was after Thursday's game against the Chargers. Yeah. And I basically said, wow, this sucks. We thought that, when Kareem got released and that whole thing came out, I think everybody in Chiefs Nation was like, okay, well, it was fun while it lasted. This is how it ends. We are in Kansas City. And then they go out and they beat the Raiders, which obviously they would beat the Raiders. But then they beat the Ravens. And you're like, you know what? This is different. Patrick Mahomes is different. He changed things. And then Eric Berry comes back. And you're like, this is different. This is happening this year. And then they lose to the Chargers on Thursday night in prime time in a chance that they could have won the AFC West, basically locked up home field advantage. And you just remember, oh, yeah, this is Kansas City. They're going to lose. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure what's going to happen is they're going to beat the Seattle, come back and lose at Oakland at home, get the wild card, and they're going to go to Houston or something and lose. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen.
Yikes.
Spoken like a true Chiefs fan, my friend.
John,
Spoken like a true Chiefs fan.
John is a Chiefs fan.
It's just that eternal just pessimism that we're just in this purgatory of great regular season football, excitement, fun, Chiefs just getting it done, looking like they could shock the world, and then losing to the Titans or blowing almost a 40-point halftime lead against the Colts a few years ago. It's just this fate that we are bound to. But I'm going to hit the pause button here, fellas. And I am it's like the guy who has just been broken up. It's like Michael Scott on The Office. I am ready to be hurt again. Let me tell you guys, this season is different. It's different. It feels different. The Chiefs don't dink and dump anymore. They don't throw a screen on 3rd and 25 anymore. It's different. And it's different because we're doing something. Instead of being kind of behind the pack, in terms of what is on the cutting edge of offensive prowess in the NFL, the Chiefs are there. They're like the trendsetters this year, and I like that. Now, the defense has been bad all year. It's been bad. Now, I will say, though, there's been improvements. Eric Berry's back, and I didn't know, but I really, even though it was at home, even though it was against a division opponent that the Chiefs have had great success against in years past, like they were 19 for 20 in their last 20 division games or something crazy like that, I really didn't have a good feeling about the Chargers game, and I'll tell you why. The Ravens banged the Chiefs up. I mean, it was a tough, physical game. I felt like a lot of players were hurt. I mean, you saw Tyreek Hill barely able to walk on that 4th and 11 play or whatever it was that saved the game for the Chiefs. Like, it's just a really quick turnaround to have to play such a tough team in the Chargers, even if it was at home. I mean, the Chargers, they have no home fans, so they play on the road all the time anyway, so they're used to it. And so I just really didn't feel like the Chiefs just had their normal juice working for them this week. So it's not time to panic yet. Now, if they come out and they lay an egg this week, then I might be a little bit more concerned about how they're looking going into the playoffs. But just take last week against the Chargers on a Thursday night with a grain of salt, because it was still a really close game. I mean, they definitely could have and should have won it. Eric Berry didn't play at all in the second half, and you saw the Chargers come to life and throw it all over the field. And, I mean, Phillip Rivers, as bad as I hate to say it, Phyllis is a good quarterback.
Yeah, Hasten, I'm right there with you. I am ready to be hurt again. But with that being said, all the things that you said have changed. You're right. But in football, throughout all the things that change over time, there are two things that have remained true throughout all levels of football, throughout all time. In order to win championships, you got to be able to run the ball and play defense. And we thought, like John said, whenever Kareem Hunt had to be thrown out of the Chiefs organization, never mind. Whenever he had to be thrown out of the Chiefs organization.
Were you going to say when he got kicked out of the Chiefs?
Oh, I was, but that's in such bad taste. Oh, but we're here now. I about got through it, and then I chuckled, and then we had to go back. Oh, my apologies. But anyway, the reality is, as much as football changes, you have to be able to run the ball and play defense. And we thought they wouldn't be able to run the ball, and it turns out that the tandem of running backs they have, the running game's still there. Okay?
If any NFL team could lose a superstar running back and be in a pretty good position, besides obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Kansas City Chiefs are pretty close to being right there behind them. I mean, our three running backs are pretty darn good. I mean, Spencer Ware and the Williams brothers, they're not brothers, but you know what I'm saying? They're pretty good.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But look, the defense isn't there. And here's the thing, but a guy that writes for the Star that John and I both really like, Sam Mellinger. I was reading a column he wrote, and he said that, he's optimistic, and I like that. But he's saying that the formula is there. If you look at the Eagles team last year they gave up 500 yards in the Super Bowl and still won. Or it might have been more than that. It was a lot of yards. But here's the thing. The difference is, whenever that Eagles defense needed to get stops in the Super Bowl last year, when they had to have a stop, they got it. And this Chiefs defense, I don't know that they've got that ability to get stops when they have to get it, because they had 2 chances. I was fully prepared watching that game Thursday night. If they would have stopped the Chargers on either of those possessions at the end that the Chargers scored on to win the game, if they would have gotten a stop on either of those, I was fully prepared to say this Chiefs team can win the Super Bowl. But they didn't, so I don't think they can. And that really sucks. But, even with Eric Berry back, I mean, I will concede that the defense was noticeably better with Eric Berry on the field. But you can't fix sucky coverage. I mean, it's not going to happen if Bob Sutton's there. Eric Berry adds to that. He's a good leader, but you're not going to be able to, inability is still there. And if they can't get stops whenever they have to have stops, you're not going to be able to win playoff football. So, as bad as I hate to say it, as exciting as this Chiefs team is, and yes, as much as it does seem different, it's still more of the same, because if you can't get stops at the end of games, then you're not going to be able to win them, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, here's my thing. I don't think the Chiefs' defensive personnel is as bad as what they're being shown to be. Like, Chris Jones has been a monster.
Oh, my gosh.
Like 12.5 sacks or something like that. And the thing is, I feel like it's a scheming problem. Bob Sutton, he rarely brings the blitz, and that bothers the crap out of me, because historically, what have the Chiefs been good at? They've had awesome defensive line play, awesome linebacker play. And they blitz, and they blitz, and they blitz. And, if you think about the personnel that we have, at linebacker, Justin Houston, Anthony Hitchens, Reggie Ragland, what do those guys like to do? They like to run downfield and get to the quarterback, make stops in the backfield, stand running backs up when they come up the hole. That's what their forte is. And whenever they're, in, cover zones and stuff like that, people just throw for 12-yard slants, all day long, because we're not getting any pressure. And Kendall Fuller broke his wrist this last week. I heard that he's still going to play, but, he's going to be playing injured. And Eric Berry, he's still working his way, back into full speed. So, I don't know. There's still problems there, and I don't think it's a personnel thing. I feel like if the scheming was different, they could get those stops when they needed it, or never be in those situations to begin with. If they don't bring pressure on first down, they wind up with 2nd and 2 every time.
I will say, this team is different, I think, and there's the path there. They've got to go win a tough game in Seattle, but then even if they don't, the path's still there. If the AFC goes through San Diego, then it really doesn't go through anywhere, because, like you said, San Diego's not a home field.
Right.
It's a soccer field. So,
it's Los Angeles now, John.
Oh, you're right. Wait, excuse me. Call me Stephen A. But
yeah, you remind me a lot of him.
Yeah, if the path is there, and if they can just, figure it out on defense, just even a little bit. They don't have to be the Bears. They just need to be able to get 3 stops a game, and they'll be tough to beat.
Yeah, we'll see. I am ready to be hurt again. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping that something changes. I'm not super optimistic, but hey, we'll see how it goes. Moving on here, let's take a little bit brighter note. It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Starting Fives. And in the spirit of Christmas, we're going to do Starting 5 of Christmas songs. So, fellas, who would like to go first here?
John can have the floor.
All right. So starting at point guard and I'll go ahead and say, It's because, you know, it sets the tone. You know, when you hear this song, it's Christmas, and you kind of get it moving a little bit. It sets the tone, sets the pace. It's All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey.
Of course it is. Okay.
Yeah, you know it's Christmas. You just, I mean, it's nobody's favorite song, but it you know, it sets the tone. It's a good team player.
I can hear John smiling, and it's
I know
it's
so
making
annoying.
me mad.
So
it's
annoying.
making me mad. All right.
He just thinks that is so clever too.
So
Finish
starting
the
at
rest.
shooting guard
No.
is it's a little bit more of a defensive player.
Stop
it's a classic
smiling.
that everybody loves you. It's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You know, it's a good one. It's not going to go get you 40, but, you know, it can get you 25 a night on a given night. The third one, I think this is pretty obvious. It's the small forward that, you know, it's the All-NBA player, the MVP contender. It's Jingle Bells. There's no way around that. And my big men are fun. At power forward, it brings the hammer that, you know, you just, when you get a church full of people singing this song with an organ in the background, it's moving, it's bumping. It's joy to the world. And obviously, you got to go with a nice bass as the center. And so I have Little Drummer Boy.
Oh, barf.
Coming off the bench, I have Happy Holidays by NSYNC, because it's a spark plug. You can figure it out real quick, and you can, you know, kind of get tired of it, but it's a spark plug off the bench, and it'll really get things going. And my coach is Michael Bublé, because who does Christmas songs better than Michael Bublé?
Okay.
All right, John. John, that was terrible, but you redeemed yourself with the coach.
By and large, that was quite painful.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Anyway, Hasten, what do you got?
At point guard, I had Jingle Bell Rock for obvious reasons. I'm not going to go into those reasons, but for obvious reasons. At shooting guard, I have Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Classic.
At small forward, I have Santa Claus Is Coming to Town. At power forward, I have starting We Three Kings. It's just, no one really loves We Three Kings, but it's just in everything. It's in every one of the little kids' like performances. And then at center, I have the slow-footed but reliable big man, Silent Night.
Yeah.
At six man, just another church classic. Comes off the bench, you know, O Little Town of Bethlehem. For my aging vet, who, you know, is like token on every team, kind of like your
Jason
Jamal.
Terry.
Yeah, Jason Terry, Jamal Crawford, Rudy Gay, like guys that could be 65 years old and still come out and get you 15 and 5. I've got Jingle Bells. It's just a, you know, classic.
My MVP contender is your
pillar of
aging
a
vet.
franchise. Yeah. And then not allowed in the stadium, get a restraining order for this song is Baby It's Cold Outside. It is for sure about sexual assault. And I am not cool with that. And then for my coach, I have Greg Popovich, because he really knows how to manage a team.
Oh, it's always Greg Popovich. That's a good one. All right, well, I'm going to go through mine here. Point guard, little off the beaten path here. I'm going Holly Jolly Christmas. For some reason, that one it's a parallel with Magic Johnson for me. Don't really know why, but that's just what I'm seeing when I'm thinking Holly Jolly Christmas playing basketball. What does it look like? Magic Johnson. All right, that's where I'm at there.
And you know, Chandler, oddly enough, I can see it. I totally get where you're coming from.
I don't hate it. I
can't explain it, but I agree.
Like, it's just like it's pure and happy, but like it's not like it's not in your face about it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
A lot of freedom of movement in that.
Yeah. It's
a lot
hard
of
to
grace.
explain. But
Light on your
guys
toes kind of a feel. Yeah.
You're smelling what I'm stepping in.
Absolutely.
For shooting guard, Hasten, you and I are gonna butt heads on this one a little bit. This one, honestly, like parallel with Kobe Bryant, because like it's kind of controversial, kind of a little shady, but I mean people still like it. People still show out for it, and that's Baby It's Cold Outside.
No, boo.
Yep, it's the shooting guard. It might be a little rapey, but people still like it anyway.
Is that why it parallels Kobe Bryant?
It'll just change its number and keep going, Change its number to 24 and keep, finish out the career, win another ring, and then retire and have its own show on ESPN. Small forward, I'm going Jingle Bell Rock, all around greatest Christmas song of all time is my statement there for Jingle Bell Rock. Power forward, this one's also kind of coming off the beaten path a little bit, but I'm going Oh Holy Night. Like that song,
okay.
We got a whole bunch of people singing it. Like it stirs emotions in people.
Yeah.
It's gonna be your clutch performer.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna get your offensive rebound late in games when you need it. You know what I mean? It's going to be strong power forward. And then my center, just the big power song to, finish out every Christmas Eve church service, Joy to the World. Or start it. I've heard places start it. But Joy to the World, it's a great staple. Sixth man, I'm going Santa Claus is Coming to Town because it is exciting. You don't want to hear it that much. You don't want to see it out there that much, but it's versatile. It can either be the Carol or it can be the Springsteen version. It's whatever you need it to be. And my coach, because it is very much like Greg Popovich, it's silent, but it knows how to manage a team. I'm going Silent Night. It's quiet, it's reserved, but it's strong and knows what it's doing. So there's starting fives, and sorry if anybody's offended about how my shooting guard's a little bit rapey, but Kobe did it before Baby It's Cold Outside, so here we are. Moving on now, we're going to throw John a bone and talk about baseball real briefly here, even though it's out of season. We'll just start by talking about the Cardinals here. Does the addition of Paul Goldschmidt make the Cardinals a contender? And with that, I'm going to say, how much more attractive are the Cardinals now to Bryce Harper?
Are you asking me about
I'm asking you.
Yeah,
we'll start with
John,
you.
come on. No, you're starting and finishing with John. I don't have any idea about this.
All right, fair enough.
Well, the thing about the Cardinals is I would definitely think they're a pretty attractive market right now. If they want to go out and try to get Bryce Harper, I think they're in a good place. But their lineup, they've got Matt Carpenter. If he's playing the way he finished out the year, he's an MVP candidate.
Get him
and
some salsa,
Ozuna,
baby.
He can turn it back on. Yeah, and then Paul Goldschmidt, who is basically like Joey Votto of the West. Like, he's just consistently going to go out there and hit and hit. I like that move a lot, but because I'm forced by oath to hate the Cardinals, I think they're going to finish about 72 and 90. So, yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Anybody else got anything for that?
Nope.
I guess the only thing I'll say is that I hope they land Bryce Harper, even though I think he's a turd. But I think that would be awesome for the Cardinals. Going on, I'm guessing that John put this in the script. John, what in the world are the Royals trying to do?
You know, honestly, I have no idea. Let me explain to you why I asked. Okay, so coming into the year, the Royals had a pretty deep infield. They finished out the year strong. They won, I don't know what the exact record was the last 40 games, but it was something like 25-15. They finished the year strong, and they had a deep outfield coming into this year. They've got Alex Gordon finishing out his last year of his contract. And then in right field, they've got Jorge Soler and Jorge Bonifacio. They're going to split time at DH, it looks like. And then it looked like in center field it was going to be between Bubba Starling, who's a young guy that's maybe going to make his debut this year finally, Brett Phillips, a couple other guys. But it looked like that was going to be kind of the biggest up in the air. Then just a couple weeks ago, Billy Hamilton got released by the Reds. He's a pretty good fit in Kansas City, so they signed him, and I was happy with that sign. Billy Hamilton, if you're not aware, he's just been one of the fastest guys in baseball for the last couple of years. Several years ago, he was kind of a hot prospect, and then his bats just never really materialized. So he'll fit in perfect in Kansas City. No hit, all speed, good defense. But then, out of nowhere, the Royals decided to sign Terrence Gore. Terrence Gore, I love Terrence Gore. He is a pinch running extraordinaire, but the thing, he's got one hit in 4 or 5 years. He came up in 2014 as a pinch runner for the Royals. 2015, he was a pinch runner for the Royals. He can't stay on a major league roster, but for some reason, the Royals signed him to a major league contract, so he gets to be on a 40-man roster. They let go of a solid utility man, and I just don't know what they're trying to do at all. It completely dumbfounds me. If they want him, then sign him to a minor league deal, have him on Double-A, and see if he can learn to hit. But the guy can't hit. He's got one hit in 5. So we'll see what happens there. But honestly, I am just still dumbfounded with what they're trying to do there. And so they're going to go, 73 and 89.
Yeah, great. Maybe they're trying to revolutionize baseball and do the Super Mario baseball method and just bunt and steal to win games.
Honestly, if they had a 100-meter dash team, it would be tough to beat because they would have Terrence Gore, Billy Hamilton, Adalberto Mondesi, who's one of the fastest guys in baseball, and Whit Merrifield, who's led the AL in steals the last 2 years. But since that's not the sport they're playing, I don't know what they're trying to do.
Right. Well, we'll just see how it goes. It doesn't really matter. They're probably going to be bad anyway. Anyway, let's move on from baseball. That's more than enough baseball until April. Let's hit the college football playoff preview real quick. Who you guys got in those games? We got Alabama, Oklahoma, Clemson, Notre Dame. Who are you guys' picks for that game? And the national championship, what you got?
Just because I know how much Chandler hates Notre Dame, I think Notre Dame's going to win it.
Oh, man.
Win the whole thing?
Yeah, win the whole thing.
Okay, moving on to
I'll be honest, I haven't watched much football, so I don't know.
I don't think that Notre Dame has a snowball's chance in hell, to be mild about this. I think that if ever a team was going to beat Alabama this year, Oklahoma might have the stuff to do it, but I don't think so. It's just Kyler Murray is just one of the most talented athletes all around, and the formula for beating Alabama historically has kind of been like athletic quarterback, get out there, sling the ball around the field, pick it up with your legs. Like, that's the only way anybody's ever beaten Alabama's defense. But, obviously you can't pick against Alabama. Clemson, I think, will get past Notre Dame fairly easily. I'd be surprised with any other result there. And Clemson might give Alabama a good game. You never know. But probably, more than likely, it's going to be Alabama again. And you can hear the sadness and boredness in my voice with it.
Yeah, you see, here's the thing. I'm not so sure yet that Alabama's just going to roll through. I think they beat Oklahoma. I will definitely give you that. But, I just am not sure yet that I'm completely sold that Alabama's just going to roll through whoever they play on the other side, which I think will be Clemson. I think Clemson will definitely win. People aren't really talking about Clemson this year, and I think it's because people are saying that, they maybe like they've got kind of a weak conference. The ACC's kind of down, which might be true. But I really think, I mean, they haven't lost this year. It's the first time they've been undefeated in a long time. I think Clemson is honestly going to have a chance to upset Alabama in the national championship game. And I just think it's because, for one, I'm a Dabo fanboy, which is probably playing into this more than anything else. But I just think that they are one of those teams that have gone through the whole year with a silent chip on their shoulder. You know what I mean? Everybody's talking about Alabama all year long, and they really haven't gotten a ton of attention. But I think they're still going to have a chance against Alabama, but maybe they won't. I'm excited to see how it goes. But I'm picking Clemson, national champion, Clemson, right there.
It's bold. What's their quarterback's name? Everybody calls him Sunshine, but what's his actual name?
I don't know. Not Kelly Bryant, because he's going to Mizzou.
That's right. That's a very good point.
I don't know. Anybody else got anything else for college football? Northwest didn't win the national championship this year, so that's a letdown.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
But maybe next year if they get a better offensive coordinator. Yeah, oh, that's a topic for another time. So real quick, let's jump back into NBA here. Kind of to wrap up our show. Who do you guys like for your quarter season MVP predictions?
John, who you got?
Giving this about 7 seconds of thought, I have to say LeBron.
Yeah, that's always a good a good one to say, and he's very deserving. Chandler, who do you have?
Carmelo.
Okay. Well, let me tell you guys something real quick. At the beginning of the year, Chandler and I have a little prop bet going with a few other guys about who is going to win MVP, and basically we have $8 on the line. I think we all put $2 in, and I picked Giannis originally, and luckily I'm not totally out of the running with that pick, but right now the MVP would definitely be Anthony Davis, in my opinion, because him and Giannis, they're pretty comparable players. They don't play exactly the same way, but Anthony Davis right now is ahead of Giannis in every significant statistical category except for field goal percentage. Giannis is shooting 59% from the field, and Anthony Davis is at 50%. So both pretty good. Here's the problem with Giannis right now. His points per game is only like 3 points less than Anthony Davis, but Giannis is having a terrible year shooting the three ball. He's shooting 12.5%.
What?
Yeah, he's shooting less than 13% from three. And Anthony Davis, he shoots threes, but that's not even necessarily like his forte, is shooting 33% from three-point right now. So there's no way, and that's a huge problem, because if Giannis could even shoot 20%, he'd be averaging probably 6 more points a game right now than what he is, and he'd probably be leading the league in points per game right now. But because he's shooting so poorly from behind the arc, it's rough for him right now.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be Carmelo. Anyway, let's wrap up here with some over-unders, if that works for you guys. We'll start with, we'll see if we really are ready to be hurt again or not. Playoff wins for the Chiefs. The line is 1.5.
So if they make it to the championship game, they'll surpass it. So they've got to win 2. Oh, boy.
This hurts, but I think, say they get that first round bye, that means that they would have to make the Super Bowl. If they don't get the first round bye, that means they have to make it to the AFC Championship. And I think both of those are tough bets. So I'm going to have to take the under.
Yeah, everything within me is conflicted right now, because my heart tells me take the over because they're your favorite team and you love them and you would do anything for them and you've always been there for them, but they've hurt you just too many times. And so I'm probably going to have to go with the rational side of me and say under, because if you think about it, they've got to win basically, if they're not at home, they're probably not going to win. You know, if they got to go on the road, they haven't been as great on the road this year. But yeah, like you said, John, if they're at home to win 2 games, they've got to make it to the Super Bowl. So that seems difficult, to say the least. Probably the under.
Yeah, here's my thing. They can't win playoff games at home either. So, and if their defense isn't going to get stops at the end of crucial games, then they're not going to win any playoff games. So I'm taking the under because I'm a Chiefs fan. Anyway,
fair enough.
On a similar but maybe a little more positive note, MVP awards for Patrick Mahomes this year. You thought we would get out of here without talking about that, but we're not going to. The line is 1/2 of an MVP award. You guys taking the over or the under?
This is a terrible over-under question. I think he's going to win the MVP award this year. I really do. We'll see how he does these last 2 games, but I think he's. I mean, if Drew Brees is second right now, I think Mahomes is ahead of him right now because I mean his numbers are just better. But the only other person I could really see winning it would be Drew Brees.
I would say it's come down to 3 people: Patty Mahomes, Drew Brees, and Phillip Rivers. And I think whoever gets the 1 seed kind of eliminates the other guys. So if the Chiefs win this week, I think that Patrick Mahomes will win the MVP. If they don't, I think Drew Brees will get it, but I think it'll be close, and it'll just depend on how Phillip Rivers finishes the year.
Here's one thing about this. Colin Cowherd is a freaking bum. That guy is an idiot if you've been seeing any of the things he's been saying about Patrick Mahomes not winning the MVP. But anyway, that's the world we're living in. I think he's the MVP. He's obviously been the best player in football this year, and I don't think there's really much contesting that. To me, he's the MVP, so I'm taking the over. Last over-under here, wins for our beloved Milwaukee Bucks. They're on pace for 58.8 wins, so I set the line at 58.5.
I'm going to take the under, not because I don't think they're capable of winning 58 or 60 games, but I just think they're going to get into the East. They're not going to really be in contention for the 1 spot, and they're not really going to care where they land 2 through 4. And by that point in the season, you've usually got some people dealing with some nagging injuries. And so they're going to rest some players down the stretch, which I think will probably, keep them from winning 58 or 59 games. They'll probably wind up right around 54, 53, feeling pretty good about themselves and being healthy. That's just what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, but the thing is with that argument is unless you're the Toronto Raptors, you're not going to have the 1 seed in the East. And so everybody would kind of be coasting, you would think, using that argument. And everybody will be dinged up. I'm going to take the over because buck up.
Yeah, I'm taking the under just because 58's a lot. And really that's about it. I mean, I have faith in the Bucks this year. I think they've got potential to have a fairly strong postseason, unlike years past. But 58's still a lot of games to win, so I'm going to take the under. All right, well that's the end of our Christmas special. We hope you all enjoyed it. We're going to do a couple of quick shout-outs here, and then we're going to get out of your way so you can have a Merry Christmas. Hasten, who you got for shout-outs?
For my shout-out this week, I got to give it to my friend Brian Evans. He is getting married at Dogwood Canyon this weekend, and I am a groomsman in his wedding. I got him an awesome gift and card today at Walmart. So get excited about that.
Wow, congrats, Brian. John, who you got?
I'm going to give this shout out to probably the only person that's listened to this whole thing. It's my dad. Started a new job this week.
Bruce.
So good for him. Looking forward to seeing him on Christmas.
Yeah, love you, Bruce. All right, I have 2 shout-outs. One of them is to this year's Mount City Panther football team that won state and that I was very blessed to be a part of as a coach. I loved being a part of it and love all those guys. And it was just a great year, great experience. So shout out to all of them. And my other shout out's going to my buddy Blake Shiflett. He has been he joined the reserves, and he's been gone for 4.5 months, and I finally get to see him tomorrow, and I couldn't be more excited. So
is he dishonorably discharged? Anything
no,
else, I'd be disgusted with Ben or Blake. Wow.
Nope.
Wow.
Nope, he made her through. Well, he's almost made her through. He has to go back for a couple weeks. But anyway, shout out to Blake. Proud of you, buddy. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. That's what I got. So, all right. Well, gentlemen, if you don't have anything else to add, I suppose we'll wrap up the show here.
Nope, that's all I got. Like to thank anybody who might have listened this long. Don't know when we'll have time to do our next episode, but we thank you for listening to the ones that we do have.
Yep, it's
Word.
been real. It's been fun to be back in the booth again. And by booth, I mean couch in my living room, so close enough. All right, everybody. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we will see you next time on The Crossover.